Please sit there. Yeah,
Oh, great.
this is my seat.
I thought so.
Yeah. Oh, right. 那这是他的，这是我的，那是你的。
这是我的。
等一下，等一下，我把那个直播链接转出来。
行，差不多。
那个，思康帮我多转一点群哈，就是那个。All right。
好，开始了，开始了。
已经开始了。Let's get started. Awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to AGI Bar. This is our live broadcast for Hunter Bound. Yes, and let's welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. OK. 本节目由津津乐道播客和中关村科学城公司以及 AGI Bar 联合赞助。Okay, now let's just talk about your background first.
Yeah.
Yeah, your background is almost impossible to summarize in one sentence. So you see, you've been a music educator, a band conductor, an MBA student, a law student, and now an open source developer building AI coding tools. For most people, those sound like completely different lives. How did these pieces all connect to you? Could you, was there a moment when you realized, actually, I can build software too?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one that I ask myself as well as I try to figure out what the heck I'm doing. But, you know, at some point, I think that the biggest direction in my life has always been towards innovation. I grew up being told about how my great-grandfather invented remote control, which was not true. But he did some other really cool stuff, like helping with, you know, laying the underwater sea cables and everything. And I always wanted to be around something where I'd get to create. You know, at first it ended up as creating an environment in a classroom where students could hopefully have the same experience I did, which for me, I was by far the worst trumpet player in my high school band program. And I remember going to bands as an 8th and 9th grader and being absolutely miserable because I had been so studious and so academic minded, and it was the embodied experience I really could not do. And I just remember being so touched by the fact that my teacher kept trying to teach me, you know, regardless of the fact that I was not very good at it. And I wanted to be able to give that back. And so I think that I am a learner and sometimes a teacher. And that basically, as I keep going back and forth between those two things, as I find myself either wanting to learn more or finding an opportunity to teach, I see business, the law, education, software as all ways of taking human knowledge and distilling it down into a way that people can use it. And so it's a really exciting way to live life, though, I will say. I have not had a boring day in 32 years.
All right. Now, but you know, you don't have a typical computer science background. Did that ever become a psychological barrier?
Yeah, it is, and it's one that I still go through on a daily basis to some degree. You know, more of just, I think because I'm studied in music, and you know, I know what it was like to teach students who were great musicians, but not necessarily understanding of why they were good musicians, you know? And so I try to, whenever I'm doing something new, the best version of myself, I always try to teach myself in my own head. I'm like, if I was my own student, how would I teach myself? And I like to think that I'm almost like a weird little jazz musician who does not really know how to read music that well, but I can figure out how to make stuff happen. And so I think that it has definitely been a barrier in some ways, but at the same time, the barriers existing forced me to try to hone my own craft, you know, to learn, like, I might not have the method that everyone else is using, but I do have a method, and it's working for me. And so I like to think that the idea of input to output is going to be much more of a common thread in academia and professions, and that someone who can fulfill a task in one area with the assistance of AI and being able to teach themselves can probably find a way to apply it anywhere. And so I think that the idea of skill building is really important, because all of the skills that I built through teaching, through business school, through even law school, they're still skills that I use in coding. They just don't look exactly the same.
All right. So actually, you're talking about building, whether it is music or code.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for listeners who don't know the concept, is it sometimes that your brain can still perceive a missing pitch when the actual frequency is not there? So how did that idea influence the way you think about AI systems or developer tools?
Yeah, I love that that's getting picked up, because it's something that I got taught when I was in my undergrad of college. I was taught by Dr. Stephen F. Austin, which is the same name as like one of the most legendary Texans of all time, but he just happens to share the name. And he's a vocal scientist who studied with one of the leading vocal scientists of all time at the University of Iowa. And so he taught me a lot about how the ears work and how our brains work. And whenever there is a frequency that is not necessarily perceptible to us, say around 2800 to 3200 hertz, our brain actually reconstructs all the rest of the sounds, which I think is just fascinating. You think for evolutionary purposes, it's probably like, I don't know, we were probably running away from dinosaurs or something, and someone had to go, and we have to hear it. But what it means is that sometimes with not enough information, if the system is powerful enough, you can actually fill in the gaps. And so that's one of the great advantages of having an understanding that that's how the world works, right? That there's always some sort of missing fundamental, and there are systems that fill in the gaps if the systems are strong enough and have been developed that way. I wouldn't say that it necessarily informs like a specific coding strategy so much as just how I approach my work, and knowing that if I am working with something with a high enough frequency idea, if I can find the system that can help accept that idea, maybe we can move forward. Maybe it's not just a crazy idea in my head, and there can be some way to fill it in.
Yeah, as long as you have a crazy idea in your head, you can just build it with AI tools.
Yeah.
That's what exactly you did with DeepSeek UI.
Yeah, very much so.
Very much so. So did conducting an orchestra teach you about building multi-agent systems?
Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. That's probably the whole thing to me. I mean, because as a conductor, and I'm stealing another conductor's words here, but you don't make a sound, right? All I'm doing is waving my arms, right? And the primary output of a performance is the music itself, right? So I'm there directing it, but I'm depending on all 50 to 100 of the agents there, that they've been trained correctly, and that I'm prompting them correctly with my nonverbal cues, and that they respond correctly. And so it requires me knowing each of those students individually, and me being able to make decisions on my own to make sure that I'm managing the entire system.
Yes.
And it's thrilling, as I'm talking about this, I'm getting chills, because I'm like, man, it's just the experience of a lifetime to have that many intelligent humans or AIs right in front of you, and you're able to help convey an idea into actual action. And so, there's a lot of just idiomatic differences of how old is the student, how old is the model. I would have everywhere from freshmen to seniors. Sometimes the senior would be next to a freshman, and the freshman is way more talented, but the senior is way more dependable.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I'd have to be able to, how do I get them to work together? Right? So really similar to AI models.
Wow. Okay, now let's come to your China story.
Yeah.
So you once called the Chinese developers whale brothers, 鲸鱼兄弟. Yes. Do you know how funny that sounded to Chinese people?
I did not at the moment, and the more I see it, I'll see a translation, and I'm like, goldfish? What does that mean? I'm like, what the heck did I say? I don't know. So I mean, it's really funny, because I'm like, it's such a good example of the power of AI hallucinations in a way, because I mean, I'm sure that there is some training data that had DeepSeek v4 being very convinced that they were giving me good information. Was it totally true? No. Did I make it true? Maybe. I don't know. And so I think that's kind of what's really fun about this AI era, is that something that was ironic in a way, or like a joke, you know, through doing it in an earnest way, helps bridge these gaps that I'm not even sure that I was aware that a gap existed. You know, I think I was just like, I was really just thinking, the DeepSeek model just came out, I've been working on this really hard, I want more people to use it so that I can make it better. Like, I want this to be able to actually help people. And I wasn't getting much attention. You know, I'd go reply on people's Twitter and stuff like that, but I started thinking, I'm like, why am I only talking to English people? That is crazy. Like, there are so many other users, and especially just understanding that, you know, I mean, for me as an American, sometimes I'm like, oh, good job, OpenAI, you know? And so then I start thinking on the other side, I'm like, oh, they must be so proud of DeepSeek, right? It's like, it's a remarkable story. And so, it's like, I mean, I think to me it's about just being willing to be a little bit silly. I think that's always a really good thing, especially in this era, you know, and as it's really easy to take yourself a little bit too seriously. But I'm really happy that I just went for it, and the results have been just so fun, and everyone's been so kind, so I'm just very grateful.
Yeah, because, you know, ever since you got that WeChat account, everything happens, right?
Yes.
Miraculously.
Yes, absolutely. It's just been a whirlwind, but it's I'm happy that people have just been so receptive and so understanding, and I don't feel like anyone is taking me in bad faith, which I really appreciate, because I think that it takes a lot of trust, you know, to think, oh, this person is not trying to take advantage of us in some way. You know, I'm just a guy who likes DeepSeek, you know, that's really all that I am. And so I'm just so happy that the community has been understanding of who I am, and like that their minds are big enough to understand that someone like me can actually exist, you know?
Yeah, actually, I have to add one thing, that ever since Hunter got this WeChat account, he was invited by Mr. Yang into a WeChat group called Show Me AI, and then I was very surprised that he was very familiar with the Chinese meme.
Oh yeah.
The Chinese memes, 表情包. He was very familiar with the Chinese memes, and he can communicate with us without any obstacle. And then later I learned that because WeChat has the built-in translation tool.
Mm-hmm.
So is it difficult for you to understand the Chinese memes?
A little bit. I mean, honestly, memes are pretty universal, I will say. Like, I mean, just kind of as I see the pictures, because it's like, you know, you can read the text, and then I think, oh, what would the American meme be? But then I see a Chinese meme instead, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that means. Okay, you know. But sometimes it doesn't mean exactly the same thing at all. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever the panda memes are, they crack me
The
up.
pandas.
I really like those. They're very funny.
Yes. So once you got into WeChat groups, what surprised you the most? Was the vibe different from Discord, GitHub, Reddit, or X?
Oh yeah, the vibe is a little bit different. People are really serious about AI. Like, they take it seriously. It's not a joke to them. Like, there are jokes around AI. It is something that is funny, obviously, because like humanity is funny, you know.
Yeah.
But people are taking this moment seriously, and I think that's really cool. Like, probably the most striking experiences I've had on WeChat have been just people reaching out individually with a story or something like that. Like, I thought I could never do this, but now I think this, and you know, that it's just really exciting to me, because I don't see that kind of interaction happening online in English spaces very often. We as Americans tend to take ourselves a little bit too seriously, and
Or independently?
yes, very independent. We don't like to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We just, I think Americans, and I'm not speaking for all of America. I'm just me. Like, my own experience having, like, being an American and just being a teacher in that space too. We deal with a lot of shame around being wrong, and so like the idea of actually just going for something and being a little bit fearless and like being okay with being wrong or someone thinking you're silly or something, we tend to just not do something, you know, at least on the social space. And so that's what I notice about the AI stuff, is that people will offer their opinions, you know, and it's like very much actively discussing, where is this going? Why is it going this way? How can it be different? you know. And I will also say, like, the other thing that's weird for me is that since I live in Dallas, I don't live in Silicon Valley. Like, I don't live in the AI space where it's like, this is the most AI people I've been around in my whole life, you know? And so my comparison is mostly just from seeing the internet more than living in the American AI space.
Okay, but you see, even though we live in Dallas, internet connects us all. And please, Mr. Yang, tell us about your story with Hunter, because he is the person who introduced Hunter into the Chinese world in the first place.
Thank you, Rosia. I think it's a very fantastic thing. Just about 2 weeks ago, I just checked the Twitter's message with my phone. I saw Hunter post a message. She said that, well, brothers, I need to sign in a WeChat account. I want to join the Chinese developers communities. I saw it. And I immediately sent a private message to Hunter. I said that I have a very professional, very professional Chinese developer WeChat group. I'm sincerely inviting you in join this WeChat group. I'm very surprised that about 10 hours later, Hunter in my WeChat, and I invited him into the show me AGI.
Yes.
This is all of the things begin. After that, I found that Hunter posted Twitter. He said that he will start a Chinese tour. I think Hunter have already met a lot of Chinese developers in some of Chinese big cities such as Guangzhou or Hangzhou. So I have a question with you. Well, how do you think? What's your feeling about the Chinese developer? What's the difference between Chinese developer and American developers?
Yeah, I don't feel totally equipped to answer it, you know, just as far as the difference part, because I don't have the comparison of American developers quite as strongly. But I don't see there being that much of a difference as far as the actual approach to the work. You know, it seems like to me it seems like the open source ethos is pretty big, you know. So if you're an American who's really into open source and you're a Chinese person who's into open source, I feel like it's really similar, you know. I think that it's almost like I see less of a divide between even nationalities at this point, and more of like which sort of technology am I most interested in right now, you know. And so if I'm someone who's a developer who's primarily concerned with a company that I'm working for, which is a closed source entity, I'm probably going to have really different opinions about what the world could and should look like, you know. And so I think that's probably the biggest similarity that I've noticed, is that open source is open source. And the people who care about that and want this to be how we have our world and how we use technology function in the same way, which is you move fast and you try to learn stuff, and you are always looking for the next way to make yourself better, which is really fun.
Okay, you just mentioned that in America, lots of the developers are very individual. But you know, in Chinese, we have a lot of open source community. Do you have the moment in the midnight just how to fix the bug, or you have to destroy it or rebuild it? You feel very lonely because you have nobody to tell and nobody to communicate with him, and or just talk with some technical problems.
Right.
But in China, there are a lot of WeChat group, a lot of communities, and such as BBS. You have a lot of channels to post your programs. There are a lot of the warm helpers to help you to fix the bugs.
Yes.
I think this is a very special ecosystem between the difference between the Chinese and the American. So there's another one I want to share with you. Just this that why I built a Chinese open source community is I think in the AI agent area, there's no one should be a lonely island. He or she should find a family to coding with other friends, share their ideas and evaluation his code. I think this is very important because in the next 10 years or next 20 years, everyone have a lot of tools to build his own apps. Even I have a post WeChat poster. I said that in the future, everyone can build apps for me, not for others, not for business or consumer.
Right.
This is a very, my opinion. So I want to know what are the opinion for the next 10 years or 20 years. What the developers build for who? For him or for anyone for business? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I love this question. And like you talking about the open source community, I think that I've definitely experienced that. And from my perspective, what's been so interesting is that like I'd say that my experience vibe coding has been pretty lonely up to this point, because I mean, as much as it stresses me out to see over 200 issues and pull requests, it's also like such a gift, to think that people have given their attention and effort to either tell me what's wrong with it or what they think should be better or how to fix it, and so that's been the most like camaraderie that I've felt is that, oh my gosh, you're actually using this and you actually have an opinion, because whenever you're just building into the abyss something for yourself, it just feels different, and so I think that there's just so much potential for international cooperation in an open source way. I mean, even it might sound silly, but the time zone difference affords a lot of stuff. The fact that I got to wake up and I had about 50 new issues every day allowed me to work in a way that I otherwise would not have. It's like I basically just worked and then I went to sleep and then I woke up and everyone told me what was wrong with it, which is incredible, right? And so to me, gosh, if we can have open source schools and open source communities everywhere, and we're all just working on stuff together, and it's across time zones, and we actually take advantage of the cultural differences, right? We take advantage of the time differences because the software is better because Chinese users have been telling me again and again why their experience is not good yet, And it's made my experience better too, which for something where I'm originally making this, just for fun, for the most part, and just so that I can have my own coding agent where I want to use DeepSeek, I just think it's such a good lesson about what this can afford people. Maybe there's going to be a Chinese developer who makes a Trinity RC, coding agent. Like maybe they'll specialize in an American tool because they can get all the complaints from the Americans the next day, right? Like I think there's actually a lot of advantages to this happy accident,
For the next step, in China there are a lot of big companies are startup companies. They nearly about all of them choose the open source way, but in the other side, in the American, such as Google or Anthropic or OpenAI, they all choose the closed way. So I'm very curious about in American. American developers want to build some tools or some apps with the AIDEs. What expects beyond this very expensive API keys? Do they have any cheap APIs or open source models they can build in the such as DeepSeek QI or the other AIDs or AI agent? Do they have any ways to use the cheap API keys? I'm very curious about it.
I'm sorry, I think I'm just not quite understanding. You mean like what about the API keys? I'm sorry.
Cheap one. Because in the American, the API keys is very expensive. Do they have any cheaper ways to use the cheaper? Do they have any ways to use the cheap?
Use cheaper stuff. I mean, RC Trinity is a great example of an American open source company where I think, much more economically sound, you know, because they are also an open source company. And so, you know, I see open source, closed source as more of a business strategy decision being made by two sides. And the fact that if you have accumulated capital and knowledge towards this, there is a certain business mindset that can make it logical to keep things closed source, while also having some things that are open source. You know, the Gemma models, OpenAI, OSS, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so that's where, for me, having an understanding of business and like when I hear cheap API calls, I think much more about the downstream effects of a business who gets to decide, I'm going to integrate AI into my company because I can afford it, right? Right now, if everything stays closed source, then economically, only the people who can have access to that get access to it, and it'll keep accumulating. It's a flywheel. And so, to me, open source is not only a mindset, but it's also a business strategy, in that actually, whenever we have open source technology, it will create cheaper API calls through economic value, right? Because if someone gives me GPUs, I will happily try to sell API calls for cheaper than everyone else, because I'll still make money, right? And so, but if everything stays closed source and people can't self-host, the prices will go up. And so, I think that's really one of my big motivations with open source. Is I see it as similar to the patent system, as similar to what Da Vinci did in the Renaissance by making his stuff available. Like, it's a matter of, it changes the economic and social environment whenever there's information openly available and there's technology that can be used without there being a commercial incentive behind it. And so I'm just much more excited about the world where people have access to that than the world where people have access to really, really, really good, expensive technology, right? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the economics could work on the other side. You know, maybe a closed source model would end up resulting in a billion open source models in some sort of way. But I don't see how it makes sense. If I was a business leader in that situation and I was responsible for the fiduciary responsibility of the company, that decision could look illogical versus closed source. And so that's why I'm like, okay, if I have this knowledge, if I think this, I need to act. And I will do everything that I can to make open source as powerful as possible, because I see what is possible down the road and what this can enable.
As a developer, I'm very eager to have a 24 hours standby API keys for me.
Yes.
Because I'm a hardware researcher. I also build API service in my home with the AMX 395 on the Mac Studios. So I have a website to build with my own self-host APIs. I think this was very interesting for developers. So let's back to your project, DeepSeek TUI. I think still now there are a lot of developers are audience. They don't know what's the DeepSeek TUI. Could you just use some soft sentence or some sort of the tech words to introduce your project or product for our Chinese audience and the developers?
Sure. So I mean, if you have used Claude Code or Codex, it is very similar to that, except it works for DeepSeek exclusively. Some of the special things about it is that I've put a lot of effort into the actual state runtime of the agent, to where the agent is not necessarily just being given a prompt and then an output. There's a lot of steps along the way and a lot of different checkpoints, the turn protocol, tool call protocol, all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, it is a very similar experience to also open code, that kind of thing, where it's like I put text in, the AI is going to respond to me. I can't remember the rest of the question. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Okay. Let's go back. I think I'm curious about you. When you start to build DeepSeek TUI, why do you what do you think about the UI there are a lot of choice, such as the GUI or apps, such as the Codex app or cloud code. They are to punish some app variants, and they also have the CLI variant. What's the how do you what?
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Why do you choose the TUI variant? I think it was very not suitable for the non developers because they just the first time to turn on the terminal, the screen will turn to the black.
Right.
They will very feel terrible.
Yeah.
So as a non-CS degree background developers, how do you think? How do you think about it, and why do you choose the TUI for that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I still think about it all the time. But I feel like I get the answer every time I use the product because the feeling that I get from using DeepSeek TUI right now is, I think, a little bit more like I'm actually holding the steering wheel. You know. And what I mean by that is, I mean, my real steering wheel is the escape button. That's what it is. Nope, stop. But the fact that I can actually see everything going on, it makes for a different, more collaborative experience with the AIs, you know? And I think basically the hidden or not hidden brilliance of the product right now is that if I press escape and then I respond again, the catch is also going to be helping as well because you're basically just reprompting except with a bit more information, you know? And so the opportunity for a user to iterate on a prompt on their own, I find to be much higher versus whenever I use other services that now offer a GUI or even a mobile version where it's a little bit more of a black box and I'm basically putting an input in and then the expected result is actually the output and the fact that the files are created. I want to have that intermediary step, you know, and so I want users using these tools to understand what's actually happening, or else it's really scary, right? And so, you know, from a UI perspective, it's definitely information dense, but the world we live in right now is really information dense, and I think that from a product perspective, it's really tempting to remove that, but you actually make your consumers a bit dumber in that process. And I want everyone who's using DeepSeek TUI to end up really, really smart.
You know, as a developer, we are very suitable for the terminal UIs. When I download the DeepSeek TUI, I think this owner must be very know about the developers want to do. She choose the TUI version for his product. I think it was also I think this is very interesting because I don't know at that time I don't know your background is not great or traditional CS degree background. I think this was very amazing for me.
Thank you.
Yeah. A few years ago, many developers assumed that the best AI models would always come from the Silicon Valley. But you know, in China, there are a lot of open white models such as DeepSeek, Queen, Jira Mini CPM, Kimi Mini Max, and others. Someone actually building tools, not just committing from the outside. Did you feel that shift?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a natural state of the world, you know, and that as information starts getting out there and we have the tech going around, I think competition is awesome. Like, I love the fact that a new model comes out like basically every day. Apparently Gemini Flash 3.5 is out. Yes. I don't even know. That just happened. Like I think that's so cool though. Like, I don't want a world where if whatever company is in the lead, I don't want them to be like waking up and being calm. I want them to feel like everything's on fire a little bit because this is really important that we do it right, you know? And so I think we're gonna keep seeing the competition change. I saw yesterday, is it MiHoYo, the gaming company, that they're gonna start working on a generative AI model. And I'm like, I've played Genshin Impact, they're probably gonna have a really good model. Like, they have a lot of data, you know? And so I think that it's almost more of something where like, the best model could come from a company who hasn't even thought about AI yet. You know, it could come from somewhere where they just have more data than everyone else and they have a way to put this together. But that'll only make the next company make an even better model. So I think that it's really tempting to get stuck in this kind of temporal lens of one company is in the lead, another company is not in the lead. But I think what's much more exciting is a dynamic, competitive ecosystem where those answers can actually change on a daily basis. I think that's much better for us as consumers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Rosa.
Yeah, okay. So actually you were talking about, you know, the Chinese and American open source communities. I was wondering, wait a second. Yeah. Can we talk about the AI coding conversation cloud first?
AI coding.
Yeah, because you know for mini CPM,
Yeah.
you know, we are mostly building our AI coding on the cloud. But is it okay that we just use the devices without the internet?
Yeah.
Is it possible?
I think the most important thing for the local device for models is the safety of the data. You know, if you want to coding some important or security APIs, if you use the cloud APIs, it means that all of your data will explode on the internet. All of these big companies will get your data. I think in the 10 years later, the most valuable things is the data.
Right.
You know, if the companies get your data, they can more and more evaluate his models. It will be more stronger. It means that all of the human intelligence will be gathered in the big company's model. Well, I think it was a terrible thing for the future. So I think, what's your opinion, Hinter? Do you think that the local device is still important for the AI coding, and especially in the local model was very important?
Yeah, and I think it's important, like I think it's important from a business standpoint, you know? Like, I think that people should understand the value of having your own chips and learning this, and know that, and again, it's hard to talk about this without being like, oh, they're so evil right now. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, the companies right now who are selling API keys, they're not incentivized to encourage people to buy GPUs, right? They want those GPUs. Like, they don't want you to buy those because they want those, right? And so, like, I think that that's what I'm so hopeful for, is that open source as not only like an ethos of mindset, but also a business perspective of, you know, if businesses invest in things that are open source, the flywheel keeps going, you know? And if I'm a business who, maybe you sell clothes in America, I don't know, but like you could still own your own GPUs and get so much information and have your own model that performs not only in a way that's better for you, but also is just like financially way better, right? I mean, depreciation costs, like compared to just churning out like SaaS fees and everything. Like, I think that it's just a really astute business decision to figure out how to learn this and go for it, because it's never been easier to learn this, right?
Yeah. So let's just imagine if DeepSeek TUI had a future local first mode, what would it look like?
Oh, that's definitely in the plans. I mean, I have to get my own more powerful GPU so I can test it myself. But I'm really excited about that's why I have like the HTTP serve thing, very similar to Codex, where in the future we'll be able to have the server running on the desktop, but then that server could be it could be your local model that I can also access from my phone, right? And so I'd say the end goal is where not you, but if anyone owns GPUs and they can host their own DeepSeek model, they should be able to access that from anywhere and use the specific advantages you can get from DeepSeek TUI to be able to have the stronger coding abilities, organization abilities, turn management, planning, whatever you find.
I remember yesterday you were coding on the mobile DeepSeek TUI, was it?
Huh?
Were you coding on the DeepSeek GUI mobile?
Not yet. Not yet.
yet.
I did. I met someone last night who had it on their phone by
Yes.
using Termux, and I was so excited, like, to see it on someone's phone. It was like, oh my god, it's there. Yeah. So I haven't done it yet personally, but it is absolutely possible. Yeah. And that's another thing I love about open source is that, like, the fact that people are all doing so much better than me at, like, these specific things. Like, it's like they'll send me something. It's like, oh yeah, here's a Lark implementation. I'm like, awesome. Like, this looks great. That's where it reminds me of being a teacher, because I just had so many brilliant students who would show up and surprise me every single day, and my job was to accept that, right? And that's a challenging thing to do sometimes when you have a, like, brilliant 16-year-old coming tell you how wrong you are, right?
Yes.
But I love it. It's so much fun.
Exactly. I was a middle school English teacher once.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. So I exactly have the same feeling as you, because you know the students coming up, I'm very bad at math, and they sometimes test me on math, and I was like, no, this is not what you're supposed to ask me.
Right.
So I was thinking that not only as a band conductor, but also as a teacher, you work with the students, and they're way smarter than you.
Yep.
And then now the developers, whether they're Chinese or American, they pull requests from you.
Yep. And they're brilliant. It's like,
Yeah,
I'll see stuff, I'm like, this is the smartest thing I've seen in my whole life. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. But then you figure it out. Like, it makes me better, So I'm having so much fun.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that you can even use AI to review them.
Right. I know. Yes, very true. And that's one thing I've had to catch myself, because, like, if I give a little bit too much freedom to an AI, they'll start commenting on, like, everything. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? Like, they've commented on like 30 different things. They're like, this pull request is blah, blah. I'm like, delete it now, So it's like just figuring out how to actually manage all that different information,
Yeah,
because it's so much.
I'm very interested in how you handle with all these pull requests. Like, you wake up in the morning and there are like 20 or 30 pull requests, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I keep working on the back end to just keep making more and more milestones, So it's like, I have this idealized 0.9 version that will one day come about, but it's like the gift of getting so much feedback. I can't. I have to accept it. It's such a gift, right? And so I'm just going through the material programmatically with AI, of course. They help me out quite a bit, because there's just, with the time of it, some of the ideas are either already implemented and I just forgot to close it, or it's like tangentially related where it could be like kind of considered that. But it's been a lot of just trying to make sure I'm staying in a strategic mindset, because it's really easy, and I've caught myself being like, let's try to close all of them. It's like, no, there has to be an actual goal that we're moving towards. And so I've basically just been taking my roadmap and just filling it in piece by piece, trying to add more and more things with all the great ideas people are bringing up.
So I think you yourself have a plan mode.
Yes. Not often enough, but I do have one. Sometimes I turn it on, yeah.
So usually you're in the agent mode?
I'm YOLO most of the time. Yeah.
See? I have told you thousands of times that people need YOLO mode.
I think the background is different for the developers.
Yeah.
Because for the first time I used the AI IDEs, I think it's the GitHub Copilot.
Right.
A lot of years ago. It will give me a lot of some very strange code, and will destroy my structure. I'm very feel very terrible about it. From that time, I told myself, after the AI generating code, you must check it by myself.
Right.
Ensure its safety and work. So, in my opinion, YOLO, no matter YOLO mode or the agent mode or the plan mode, the most thing is you should check the code. It can work, it can safety, and it will not distract your ideas and your structure.
Right.
It was a very important thing for me, because you have to realize or check your project is just a simple one or very complicated. If you are building a very complicated project and you have to build code with other staff or other friends,
Right.
the most important thing is your code must be work, and then the other friends or other staff can work with your code.
Right.
This is the important thing for me.
Yes, because you know we are the master of computer science.
It was very funny that I'm not a CS degree background because my degree is chemical engineering.
That's closer though. I will say that's closer than music.
None of us, you know, we three are all developers, but none of us has the CS background.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the future. Well, I guess
That's the
it's the
future.
present as
Yes.
well.
No, it is the present.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you know, we love the YOLO mode.
Yeah.
Two versus one.
You win.
Okay, now let's talk about something about your law background.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're studying law, right?
Mhm.
Especially patent law. So while
Not quite as much patent law.
Yeah.
That was maybe a hallucination of Chinese media
Oh.
on their part. I love patent law. And I'm very interested in it. And I have taken a patent law class. But I am actually, because I don't have a tech background, I cannot become a patent attorney in America, basically. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, finally someone sees something in me. They think I can be a patent attorney, because I can't, since I don't have the technical degree. So I'm a little bit more actually on the soft IP side. So I know a little bit more about copyright and trademark and whatnot. Yeah.
right, because you know your whole background gives you a rare angle. So when an AI agent helps write code, where do you think legal uncertainty is the biggest right now? Is it copyright, you know, authorship, liability, or something else?
I think it's very much copyright. Copyright is definitely the biggest one. And we're seeing it now, especially with, you know, the US Copyright Office made a decision that something that was AI generated couldn't be considered copyrightable. But it's very unclear because how do you disclose that something is AI generated, right? And how do people consider what something even is AI generated? Because AI is everywhere. You know, I laugh when I hear people, lots of Americans younger than me are very anti-AI, but they're
Really?
getting, big time.
So how are they anti-AI? How did you perceive that?
But they tell you,
They just tell you.
yeah, they say, I consider myself superior because I don't use AI. That is a view in America.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
that is a view, and it's one that is from my perspective, it's also AI generated because they're getting that information from TikTok, which has an AI algorithm, a very strong one, you know, and that means that creators are being incentivized to make things that get attention, which is to say that AI is bad. And so I just see it as them not understanding AI. Because I'm like, if you understood this, you would realize how manipulated you're being right now, you know? Because what I'm confused about is a lot of people hate AI more than I love AI. And I really like AI. So you have to have some sort of weird, like, moral feeling about it that I don't because of understanding of the technology, you know? It's a weird thing. I mean, I understand why people are nervous about it because obviously job loss. I mean, it's like there's so many things about our society that are changing, but it's like it's an agency thing to me. You know, I want to have agency in the future, and so I want to learn how to work with the agents who are getting more and more agency. You know, sometimes seemingly more than me. And yeah, it's a different environment. Like I think Chinese people would be really surprised at the opinions because I'm surprised. I'm really surprised. Like when I see videos of graduation ceremonies at colleges and people booing anytime that AI is mentioned, I am fascinated because I am almost entirely convinced that that was generated by an AI, right? You know what I mean? Like I think that you can, if you want to have the social engineering of how do we make a moment out of this, some AI probably told one of the kids, well, just boo every time they say AI, then you'll get attention. right? But it's like people not understanding that when they consume media, it is many, many times influenced by these algorithms as well. And so deciding to simply not engage with it is a decision to give away your own power, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially when they're younger kids and they're influenced by the algorithm and their peers.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Peer pressure.
Yeah,
Even though they love AI, but they have to pretend it.
exactly. Yeah, and so that's where I'm like kind of the weirdo because I'm 32 and in law school and like I'm just like myself, you know? And so whenever I'm just like openly, I think AI is awesome because of XYZ, they're confused by me because I just say that openly instead of like couching it in some sort of, I understand it destroys all water, I understand we're all gonna die, blah, 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 you know, it's gonna kill all of us. Like that's basically the worst possible version is the accepted version right now. And so that's probably part of why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I want people to understand how to actually use it because it's technology, you know, it is amazing, but it is still technology and we are still humans, right?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to quote a song from Michael Jackson. You know, it's Heal the World. I suppose if we are trying to build a better world with AI, instead of, you know, destructing it, it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Right.
let me just sing one part of it from you, okay?
I love it.
Yeah, okay. Heal the world to make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. So I suppose this is
Beautiful.
thank you. So I suppose this is what AI developers like us.
Mm-hmm.
We are all AI developers. We are trying to build a better world for, I suppose, for entire human race.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, especially for you, you built a DeepSeek TOI, and for development like me, yeah, I'm using the DeepSeek TOI. You know that.
Yeah. it
Yeah,
makes
I was
me so
trying
happy.
to build a website for Ma Long, a very famous Chinese ping pong player.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, so I use that, and then it quickly turns into a HTML.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is my way of building the world better because you know I really respect Ma Long, and then I want to build a website, but without AI, how is this possible?
Right.
Right.
Exactly, and it helps us turn intent into action, you
Yes.
know, and we have so many blockers on that, whether it's social media or whether it's, you know, any sort of blockers, right? It's like we all get stuck in our own way, and I think AI helping reduce the cost of effort is actually really cool because it helps people be more themselves, you know?
Right. Yeah. So actually, I think that AI can make us more like human.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, some people think that if you use AI, you will be more like robot. You will be more robotic, but that's exactly the opposite for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think because AI helps me, you know, create more things. For example, the little cars. Yeah, I created the little cars. I use the code decks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, without AI,
Right.
how is it possible that I can create this within 20 minutes?
Right. It's impossible.
It is
and
impossible.
it means that the idea gets stuck there, you know. And I mean, for me, I as you can see through my billion different degrees and career paths, I have too many ideas.
Yes.
That is a problem that I have.
Oh yeah,
You know?
in only in Chinese internet, you know what's this phenomenon called? It's called ADHD.
Yeah, no, I do have that.
If you
Yeah.
have ADHD
Yeah.
and AI is your cure.
Yep. Yeah. It is very helpful though. I mean, because it's such a funny thing. The whole ADHD thing. I think there is some brilliant research paper about just attention mechanisms in humans and AIs waiting to be written. So if anyone hears this and wants to write it, I will read it. Because like, if attention is all you need, like there's a whole lot of stuff here, right? Like whether I'm a human giving attention to something, whether I'm an AI giving attention to something, and I think even the name attention deficit disorder, it's actually probably the opposite. I think people with, I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm a doctor. But I think that it's possible that it's actually a deficit of knowing how to deal with that much attention, right? Because, like I said, I mean, it's the ability to take an idea and actually turn it into something. You know, it changes how people interact with the world. Like if I could finally convince my mom that she could actually have a website for her store, you know, and make it easy for her, that's going to change her life.
Oh yeah, and another thing which is interesting in our WeChat group is that when your parents discover you're in China and you're welcomed by so many Chinese, they will definitely be surprised.
Yes, yes. My mom was very, very nervous, but she's really excited. It took her a while. Most of my family, everyone else is really excited. She was just, you know, she's a mom. She has to be nervous about it, of course. But you know, it's like actually my mom's side grandparents came to China. I want to say maybe 40 years ago, like whenever they were younger and their kids had just graduated high school, and so they got to see the Great Wall of China, everything like that back then. So even growing up like age 6 through 12, I was aware of the fact that like really cool people take trips to China. Like that was kind of how I thought, because I loved my granny and popsy so much, and they always talked about just they were very cultured people. Like they had every Friday night they would host, what's it called? I don't know, one of those games like backgammon. I don't know if y'all know what that is. It's like a game that Americans play. They would host that kind of night, and they would all just talk. And like this is how American society back then functions. And they were a part of that because they had experienced more of the world than what South Louisiana had really afforded to them. And so I'm like really grateful, obviously, to be here, but I'm also just like, it's a strange way I'm like getting more connected with my grandparents, you know, understanding that whenever they would speak about China, they would speak so positively and talk about how the people were so kind and how they had felt so accepted. And now I know, you know, I'm experiencing it myself.
Okay, I think there is another very important thing that I think Hunter built a bridge between China and American developers. Let us Chinese developers know what's the ecosystem in the American, and I think Hunter must know a lot of Chinese developer company and what things happened. What's these people that doing what app are, what the tools. I think this is just a beginning. There are a lot of the developers or builders will send message each other. In the future, there are a lot of things will more American developers will visit China and maybe sit down at the AGI bar and attend in our podcast. 登下来.
Thank you. Okay. Another question. Do you know there's a phrase called good taste? Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when it comes to building AI tools.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your opinion about good taste in building AI tools?
Yeah. I have an actual GitHub repo named Taste. And it's a skill.
Oh, really?
I do.
You have a skill called taste.
I do. And it's basically making sure to get awareness as to what context you're working in. You know, so if this is a CLI to UI tool, what does it look like to have experienced this and lived in it? You know, so it doesn't work every time. But I think taste is something where it's like, it requires actually interacting with the product. You know, like, I love open code because, like, even though I get annoyed that they still make me press always allow, I really like the product. And that sounds so stupid, but it's like, that's just how I feel about the product. I feel like they have good taste. Like, I feel like when I use that product, I know that they have made decisions that are meant to have me, the user, experience something, right? It's not just like well, here it is, you know? And so that's what I've been really trying hard to do is all those little micro experiences, you know, it's like, what does it feel like to actually use the product, to have a decision made by the AI or made by you, that kind of stuff. So I think it's about acknowledging the user experience and like what it feels like to have different pieces of information or permissions asked, that kind of stuff. I also just like the colors. I like the blue.
It's amazing.
It is. So why don't you tell everyone that you have a skill called taste?
Oh, well, it's there. I mean,
You need promotion.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it has 1 star on GitHub right now, I think. So if anyone wants to be the 2nd star, be my guest. But you know, I kind of just like I develop a lot of things. Like I think I have like just a ton of different skills that I've developed over time, and I'm sure most people do. You know, but my favorite thing about it is just noticing through the iteration process where each of my models will start being like, this seems like something that requires taste. It's time to use the taste skill. And you know, you can see it working through it, and it'll change its approach based on either a web search or just kind of recontextualizing stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how the skill actually looks. I'm sorry if it's bad, everyone, but it is, I think, a fun idea to, you know, take these kind of more abstract concepts and distill them down into something a bit more concrete, because then you can evaluate how it actually goes. You know, at least whenever I use the taste skill and something comes back that I consider incredibly not tasteful, I can adjust the skill and then make new changes.
Yeah. So, is there any possibility that you would make the DeepSeek TUI more, you know, beautiful?
Yeah, that's definitely the plan. That is definitely the plan.
Yeah,
like,
because you know, I have a coding teacher called Bobo, and he told me that I should turn from GUI to TUI, but I replied, humans need GUI. So I was wondering if you're going to, you know, make your TUI more beautiful.
Yeah, I, you know, the TUI to me is a little bit more of like the, like, I'm trying to think of the right word, like rugged. Like, and I kind of want that experience to some degree, but I do also want there to be the possibility of it feeling more elegant, you know, more like probably what either Claude Code or Codex feels like right now, versus having all of the information. But that being said, since I am developing a GUI on the side, it's been kind of just trying to figure out the trade-off. It's like, well, if people who want the pretty version all use a GUI instead, then maybe that means that basically it can be split almost in a way, where it's like the people who really like this experience can use that, the people who really like this experience can use that. So, but hearing that you would like it to be more beautiful is really helpful to me, because I mean, I definitely want it to be as well, and it's like thinking through what steps are actually need to be taken so that that's the feeling that someone has.
It's okay. You just use your taste view.
You're right.
Okay, so now we are coming to our close. Okay, you know, you have unintentionally become a bridge between American indie hacker culture and Chinese enthusiasm. So, do you see yourself building more China-first features, or do you want to keep DeepSeek TUI to stay more culturally neutral and globally useful?
Good question. I don't know that I think in those terms, like in my decision making, but I do think that like my real intent is that I see it as being useful far beyond the US and China.
Yeah.
You know, I think about the global South and how their lives are so different because of their access to intellectual property. And I think about the potential for Africa to be completely transformed by having access to this sort of equipment that previously wouldn't have been, you know? And so I'd say that I'm very much thinking on the global scale as far as where it can influence. And it's been a really affirming experience, like to see that, you know, something as simple as, let me make sure that the thinking is going to be in Chinese instead of English. It's like, okay, well, there's a real market opportunity here to provide this level of detail to people of all different languages. And with the cost effectiveness and the awareness that the DeepSeek team is using with the catch part of it, you know, just how cheap that can be with, I know that they're continuing to optimize for even reduced costs. It's, to me, is the great opportunity of this technology actually getting to everyone is really my primary goal.
Exactly. So actually, Mr. Yang is the creator of DeepThink community in Xiamen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. Yang, what would you like to ask Hunter?
I want to ask Hunter, do you have any plan to visit Xiamen? There are a lot of Xiamen local developers very hope to have a offline meeting with you and do some. There are a lot of questions about you, about DeepSeek UI and the ecosystem and the AI models.
Yeah.
Yes, I think this is a very important. It's a very important things for the Xiamen developers. And Xiamen is a seaside city. It has a very beautiful scene, and I'm sincerely to invite you to visit Xiamen. Do you if you have this plan, yeah, you can tell me after the class. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll let you know. I have to take a look at my schedule because all of this got thrown together very quickly by amazing sponsors, which I can't, since I can't name all of them right now, I'm trying to figure out how to best say that, but for everyone who has helped me get here, thank you so much, because this is something that has really changed my life and how I see the world in a completely positive way. And so I would say that this will not be my last trip to China. And so I would very much like to come back in the future, and then I will absolutely visit Xiamen.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, you know, actually, I have to say that Deng Xiaobai, the podcast, really has changed my life as well. Yeah, because
That's wonderful.
it is. And it's also changed by AI. My life has also been changed by AI.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, because, let me tell you the story of how Deng Xiaobai emerges. So, in the first place, the 中关村科学城 City, the 中关村 Science City Limited, they told us they have the podcast equipment.
Mm.
Yeah, because for most people, for most creators, they do not have such kind of equipment.
Right.
Yeah, but then in Show Me AI WeChat group, I saw that, and I had this idea that I would like to make a podcast. So this idea just popped out on the 1st of March.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It is.
Wow. That is so cool. I would have never guessed that, from...
Yeah, because
this
everything you can see,
Incredible.
this is very professional.
Yes.
But I have just made this podcast for just 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is maybe I can compare my experience with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you developed DeepSeek UI, and then immediately you got so many help from everyone.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's the same as well.
Wow.
Yeah, because the Haidian, the people in Haidian, they are really, 80% of the Chinese AI talents are in Haidian, just in this place.
Wow.
Yeah, this is also the very AGI bar that the creator of Mid Journey came. Yeah, and that's how you came.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose this will be a more internationally famous bar for the AI developers all over the world.
Yeah, I think so. It's an incredible place, and I mean, like I said, I would have never guessed that this has only been happening for 2 months. That is incredible, and such a cool story about this AI era. That blows me away. That is so cool.
Yeah, and thanks to Mr. Yang. Yeah, because Mr. Yang introduced you to the WeChat group, and then I added you from the WeChat group.
Yeah.
And later, when I learned that you're going to come to China, this idea pops out.
Yeah.
Why don't I invite Hunter and Mr. Yang to host a podcast with me in English?
Yes.
Oh, it's awesome.
It is amazing. Okay, so the last question, final question. If you can only keep one thing for the rest of your life, what would you choose? DeepSeek UI, music theory, MBA framework for law, things like that.
Gosh, I think I would have to go with music theory. And the reason is because I feel very confident in my ability to reconstruct the other things from music theory, which probably makes me sound absolutely insane. But music theory is so fascinating, and there is just about everything in there that you can find, whether it's temporal analysis or spectral analysis, or there's both math and art in there, and I think that Plato, Aristotle, I think they were onto something when they liked music. I really do. It's a wonderful gift that we as humans get to experience.
Yeah, just as I said, Michael Jackson.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is music that brought us together.
Mm-hmm.
It is. All right, so I think this is the end of our talk.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Yang.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so this is my signature close. 欢迎 Hunter 来共饮灯下白. Yeah, and this is in Chinese, so this is a welcome you, Hunter, and let's just drink a little bit of under the light.
Oh.
Yeah, because this is.
I did.
Yeah, this is what actually Hunter drank before this podcast, and this is the very thing that everyone comes to Beijing. He would drink 豆汁. How did you feel about that?
It was very interesting and a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah,
maybe 2 times. We'll find out.
Yeah, in China, amazing things happen every day.
Yes.
And I'm very excited to be with you in this whole exciting thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's just make a toast.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers. All right. This is the end of our podcast. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yay. Oh, there's one person said, "Dude, you really drank it?"
I did.
You did.
I'm glad this one was empty.
And there's another thing. They say, "Why is there Starbucks in this AGI bar?" I think this is the fusion of American and Chinese culture.
Yeah, very much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
豆汁 and Starbucks in AGI bar where we drank beer to talk about AI.
It's so true.
It is so true. Yeah. So this is how very good communities can bring to people. Can bring laughter.
Yeah.
Friendship and love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Today is May the 20th. In Chinese, it's called 520.
Oh.
Yeah, 520 means I love you.
Yes.
Oh, fun day.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's why Google keeps releasing their models on this day. I don't know.
Today is a romantic day.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, we got to release Gemini.
It is. So this is how
That's
we.
so cool.
It is. So this. Okay. I on behalf of my community called KARE. Yeah, KA21, because we. Let me tell you another story of how we got this together. Because 2 years ago when I was learning AI, I didn't have much to. I didn't have much things to learn, and then I joined another community, just like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I joined another WeChat community. It's called KA21.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I kept asking questions, just as you said, silly questions.
Mm-hmm.
At first, as as novice AI learners, we all ask very silly questions. Yep. But then, interestingly, all of the people in that group, they caught me.
Yeah.
They got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the GPT style, in the GPT style. Yeah, and then later I learned all about AI, and then I kept answering their questions.
Right.
Exactly like you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the teacher in us. It's like we love to learn,
Yeah, the teacher in us, we love to learn, and then we love to teach.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Exactly. So I suppose this is why teachers can become very good AI developers,
Yes.
because we can get feedback immediately, and then we can teach others. And this is how we learn in this new era of AI.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
You learn by doing, and that's the most.
Yeah,
important
learning
part
by
about this.
doing. Learning
Yeah.
by doing. Exactly. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
This was
you.
a blast.
Thank you.
It's so fun.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a gift.
Such a gift.
Wow.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Q&A session. Rosie, do we have Q&A session?
What?
Q&A.
Oh
We
yeah.
have it.
Do you have any questions
Don't have
here?
any questions?
Yeah, I do have one. That's
Oh,
right.
okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, please come here.
I come
Yeah, come here.
Okay.
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah, of course. Of course. 边路过来吧。Yeah, come here, come here, come here. Yeah.
Okay.
So with the
Eh,
device.
come here. Yeah,
No problem. We have the big device.
yeah.
Chair here. Okay.
然后是也坐过来。
Now we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is about taste. We touched on this a little bit earlier, and in Silicon Valley and also here in Zhongguan, so people are talking about taste almost every day, everywhere, because especially for non-developers, when we are not looking at every line of code,
Right.
or not even looking at code at all. So it's more about architecture's perspective.
Right.
How do we put it together? How is it designed in this sense? But I find it very hard for many of my friends to build that taste.
Yeah.
Do you find your musical background helped you to build that taste of code architecture?
Yes.
System architecture?
Yes. You know what? I will say that I have the Marcus High School Band to thank, which is a very particular high school band program in Texas that was like the winningest of all time for about 10 years. And I got to tech there and student teach there. And when I think of taste, I think of that band director. She is the most meticulous human I have met in my entire life. They have a very particular Marcus M that looks a certain way. It is an emblem on every single thing in that program. You know, they have the label creators are all a certain way. You know, there's an intent behind every single decision. They had, at rehearsals, they had Popsicle Tuesday. Every Tuesday they had popsicles, and there would be a song that would play at the end of rehearsal that indicated it was time for popsicles. Like, it was just this experience of seeing when someone decides that they're going to make the experience positive for as many people as possible, for as long as possible. That's what I recognized in her, and you know, down to how she would hand out handouts to the kids, you know, to explain a piece of music. She had a handout that would explain the history of the piece. It would show art related to the piece. It would show everything, you know, that you don't get from just playing the music. And so I think taste is about context and about understanding that everything is going to be related to each other. And it's like, you have to think about the total impact of what each piece does, and like, how does it actually work together? Is there a vertical alignment? Is there a horizontal alignment? Is it that kind of thing? Yeah.
It's, composing or the music production is quite similar to architecture perspective of a system or software.
Yeah.
So we could compare with each other.
Yeah, I would say definitely so. You know, interpreting a score as a musician, as a conductor, you don't read every single note. You know, like when I'm looking at the score, like I see the totality of it, right? It's like I can see
Holistic perspective.
Exactly. I see flute, clarinet, trumpet, and I can look at those and I think, okay, those three are always going to be related for the most part. Not always, but often. And so then I can make decisions based on that. I see the low reed parts as compared to the low brass parts. I see the percussion part underneath it. And so it's like you just develop this feel of, okay, danger, you know, because you can start to see like, oh, this looks weird, you know? And so I think that's where the musicianship, I think, plays into this, because musicians deal with too much information all the time, right? All the time.
Sure,
like
sure.
especially if you're playing in an ensemble, you have like 80 different people with you. If I pay attention to all 80 individuals, I can't perform my part, right? And so it's, yeah, I think there's just a lot to do with like the verticality or horizontality of decision making, you know, and thinking everything in this category is this way for this reason.
So it's about the instinct you have at that moment. I know it. I cannot explain, but I know it.
It
I
is a
see
little
the
bit
whole
of that.
picture.
Yeah, it is. But it comes from developing opinions over time, though. Like I only feel that way because I've screwed up so many times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see. But it could be a little bit hard for non-music producer. For example, for me, how could I also develop that kind of instinct or that taste?
Yeah.
Should I also learn a little bit about music or?
Maybe, I don't know. You know, I actually, when I talked about this yesterday a little bit, someone followed up and they said, they made a comment on my approach and they said, they called me a philosopher, which I was like, wow, thank you. I was like, oh, that's so kind. But then they said that, you know, the thing that they found unique in me is that I was working through AI from a point of view. You know, it didn't matter what the point of view was. It mattered that I was working at it from a point of view and one that I felt really confident in and one that I could explain not only to myself, but to other people, you know? So for me, that's band because that was my first career and I was really good at it, honestly. Like I loved it so much that I worked so hard. I was like, I had to be prepared for the kids. And like, you know, I think about the effort that I put into that, you know, which was a lot. And a lot of attention, you know, it's like I would go home and I'm thinking about, man, this student had a bad day. Like, what did I do that I screwed up? Like, and in that way, working with AI is just a lot easier because they don't have parents who email me yet.
Emotionally very stable.
Yeah, exactly. For the most part, unless I'm not. But it's like, I think it can be anything, you know, and that's where I think probably computer science people are like weirded out by someone like me, you know, because it's like, I can speak very clearly to what I can speak clearly about. That's about all that I can speak clearly about, though. I can't necessarily convey it exactly to, yes, and in Rust architecture, I make this decision because of this. I can't say that, you know. I can say that I have given prompts that are in line with my philosophy and that the results have over time iterated to become what I want it to be, you know. So if there's anything, I mean, I think it can be anything. It could be modern art. It could be the
painting.
It could be one thing they brought up yesterday was traditional Chinese medicine. Maybe
Traditional Chinese medicine?
yeah, maybe you think about AI through that point of view.
Really?
Yeah, or maybe through the 5 elements. You know, they were basically just saying like, no matter what you do, if you approach it from some perspective, like you'll have an opinion that creates some sort of taste. You know,
there's no universal taste for
right,
everyone.
Exactly.
So it's maybe it's very inspiring for me. Is I can go back and tell my friends not to copy someone's taste, but to develop one's own taste, one's own perspective to connect with AI and maybe also connect with human being from a certain perspective, which may be easier for him or her to cultivate.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and that's what's so great about AI is because it lets you just be yourself. You know, it's like, yeah, you don't have to change that view. And I mean, my views of the world change a lot. You know, I'm not saying like, yes, music, you know, it's like, it's very dynamic, but it's like the willingness to just, like I said, be a little bit silly. And like, whenever I explain to AIs, I'm like, hey, I'm a musician, I think about it this way, you know, help. They help me, you know, because they know enough about music to where they can understand like, oh, he's relating this to an ostinato, you know, like a repeated rhythmic idea, something like that. And so all of the vocabulary that I have that is very strong and related to each other in ways that are correct, I can still use that vocabulary.
Thank you for the inspiring comments.
Oh, you're very welcome. I mean, it was a great question because I hadn't thought about that like in that way before. So it's really, that's what I love about getting questions like this. I'm like, you just made me smile, so I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And because I'm also doing AI startups, so I keep getting those kind of questions from my friends.
Yeah.
So how should I cultivate my taste? I don't have a taste, or should I learn art, go to museums or something? I don't know, maybe.
I think you have taste. You're wearing this thing. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is created by Mr. Yang.
Oh, really?
Very creative, right?
I love it.
Very traditional.
I think that, well, taste is all in the eyes of the taster, too. It's like, I mean, no offense, guys, but like, I don't like that drink. Like, and if you do, our tastes are different.
Right. I also only try that once.
So it's like, I think the first step to having taste is considering yourself of having good taste, right? And it's like, then if you wake up and it's like, man, my good taste was not good today. At least that's information for you, where then it's like, guess what? If you thought that you had good taste, but then you evaluated yourself and thought, oh no, I have bad taste. That means that you had cognitive good taste up here. You have a reference point. You have good taste, you just didn't perform it.
Maybe to try to find somewhere in the world there are people with the same taste as us.
Absolutely.
Maybe someone really likes that.
Yeah.
Because it really sells a lot in Beijing.
Yeah.
For a lot of people to try it, but I believe there's really someone who really drink it every day.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know who they are,
taste.
but
yeah, I'm not sure, but different tastes.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Okay, another question. So Sikang is helping you to promote your taste skill.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Groups, in the WeChat groups.
Oh, thank you. It's gonna get popular now, maybe.
Yeah, it will get popular, more and more popular after this podcast. You know that we are doing it live stream.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, hi. That's awesome.
Yes. So our friends are making comments to you, and it's all very interesting.
Oh,
and so I'm making this podcast while listening, and I was reading all the comments, and they think that I am like a multi-agent.
I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So okay, another question from media called 第四波科技. Yes, yeah. So let me just ask the question for her, okay?
Sure.
Yeah. So many programmers are afraid that AI will replace human coders. Drawing from your experience as a music teacher who builds coding tools from scratch, what do you think is the real mode for programmers of the future?
Oh, I'm gonna say something that I probably should not say.
Oh.
But I'm gonna say it.
这又是我们接下来的经典环节了，哥们儿，这是能说的吗？
I think everyone should consider becoming a teacher.
Oh.
I think that teaching is the most amazing profession, and it is the one that we are going to have no matter what. Because we all have to learn, and we all have to teach in different ways. And coding is a way of us using human knowledge, of using logic to impact our world. Those people have a unique perspective that allows them to teach in a unique way, you know? And their relationship to this new world of AI is different than mine, and that value is not going to go away. I think if anything, it's going to become more valuable as more people like me can show up and just talk about music and still get results, right? Because the things can break, and they should break, because they aren't perfect. I think, if anything, I think we're in danger of the systems becoming too anti-fragile to where we don't let them become their best selves, because we're so concerned with it breaking. And so I think that if I were running an AI company right now and I were trying to raise money, I would perhaps indicate that the value of my company may or may not be related to the future employment of coders, because that is a logical chain of thought for investors if you are trying to get money, because your company will be worth a lot if it replaces all of coding, right? And again, like I having the business background, I don't know what I would do if I were CEO of XYZ company, but I also can acknowledge that that is how capital works, and that's how incentive structures work, and that there are job losses related to coding right now, obviously, but there are also jobs being created. And I guess to quote Jensen Huang, I just heard a quote from him today, the idea that the world is capped at 100 trillion GDP is not real. you know, and I think China is probably one of the best examples of that, in that, like, there's a lot of growth here that is going to continue, right? And the whole world should hopefully become more and more wealthy and more prosperous through this. And I think coders are probably some of the most important people for part of that. You know, I think their jobs will probably just look more like teaching.
We need professionals interacting with humans.
Mm-hmm.
Even AI could teach us something, because
Right.
AI would like to interact with humans
Mhm.
to have that taste conveyed,
Yeah,
not only skill.
absolutely. Yeah, you know, the whole apprentice model that we used to have so common in the world, you know, like the master and the apprentice. I think that, you know, if provided we can get all of humanity's act together and have AI actually provide a security for people, then it makes sense for people to seek out mentors, you know, where it's like, I personally want to learn from this person, you know? And I see that almost more as an opportunity than something negative, because it's like, that actually gives people a lot of power to say, I want to learn this because this. And it's different than an institutional way of education. And so, yeah, I wish I could just have a ton of money and give everyone jobs. So then, so then, you know, there doesn't have to be this mindset that AI is ruining things. But like I said, I see it as business decisions being made, and then the reactions to that, you know, in efforts to raise money and get valuations. So I think it's logical, but I don't think it's the end. I think that there's a lot of room to go from here, and open source winning, I think, has a lot to do with that too.
Yeah, just as we are changing from the primitive world to industrial revolution, and you see new jobs are emerging.
Exactly.
This is so we should not be feared by AI.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. Like, I know it's going to sound silly, but it's like, we are the data that we're providing to the AIs. And
Oh yes,
we are the
exactly.
prompts, you know.
You have the prompt.
Yeah, and so it's like, if we're afraid of AI, what are they going to do? Well, they might be scary. Like, whenever we prompt it, it's like, ooh, scary AI. Like, they're like, I am a scary AI. The human is afraid of me. Like, I mean, you know, like, we do a lot of this to ourselves by our stories about what technology is. And it's like, since we are the data, we have to change the story ourselves for it to change. We can't just wait for the model to get trained that says, like, I'm safe. Like, that's not how it works. Like, we have to decide that we as humans have to build safe technology. So it's like this weird quantum effect of like, we have to observe that we want to create this, or else the other thing happens, you know? But it's like, it requires acknowledging the AI as being the tech that is reflective of what's going on. It's not necessarily opinionated on its own. Like, it really comes from us.
Exactly. Just as Cloud discovered that sometimes if they project something to AI, it will have emotions like happy, anger, grief.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Absolutely.
think absolutely this is just in the beginning of our interview, you said that like brain cognitive, you know, the perceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I think basically we're all the same, whether we are human or AI. We, you know, we are inspired by goodness, and we don't, you know, we do not like really bad things. Exactly.
Yep, exactly. Well, and I mean, Claude Shannon is kind of the man. Like, I mean, his whole theory of information, it's like, I think that people should really just try to become familiar with that and think, you know, the way that we communicate is through information, and we are information ourselves as well.
We are information ourselves.
Exactly. And so with the way that we communicate with these other beings that are information in a different form, it's very reflective, you know. It's like, in some ways it's like, are we just humanity, are we narcissists right now, just like staring at a reflection, you know, and we're just like, oh, it's really scary, oh, but beautiful, but scary. Like, it's like we just go back and forth instead of just being like, let's just build the thing and have society function with it, you know, and decide that we as humans can do this, you know.
Yeah,
but
it's just have to, you know, we have to learn to live with AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just coexist.
Yep.
In harmony.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so this is really the end. And welcome. Yeah. the flowers. 那个比尔拿一下花。
Is this special for Warling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Special for us. Wow.
Beautiful.
It is.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. So let's take a picture here.
Take a picture.
Let's take a picture here.
Picture there. Okay.
我们要合影。
合呀合呀，你
我要护法。
我们三先合。
啊好。
OK。
OK， 好，来，
左右护法
严明小姐也来，严明小姐，那站紧一点，站紧一点。OK， 好，那其他的那个嘉宾们也过来拍一下吧，大家都过来拍个合照吧。Frozen 老师，那个
院长。
对对对。对。来吧。
Absolutely.
波波帮我们拍一下那个，云天把你的手机给他定个框，对你给他定一个框，你给他让他取个景，然后那啥。啊。
你可以取好。
好，
也没有。
那0.6也
这没什么好学。
0.6也行，回头我们再把它再截到。
0.6的话，
云天真的很专业。
这个 pocket 反正避不开它了。
没关系，不需要避开，没关系。都进来就行。
我多拍几张啊？
好。
3, 2, 1, go. One more. OK.
OK， 谢谢。哎，对，等一下，我们在这儿拍一个吧。这个后面是特别好的背景。Now let's take a picture against this。
其实站在这个角度刚好，这个也能拍到，这个。
啊，好，来再移一下。
中间这边是吗？
啊，对。
AGI 包。AGI 包都点一起。
可以。So this is the lobster, open claw lobster. Yeah. 好，来，那个个子矮的往前面站一下。啊，对，你把这个举起来。啊，好，可以往下。
Like this?
好，你这样。对，好。
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Cheese.
One more.
好，谢谢。好。啊，是的，我是专业的。媒体同事也在这儿。那你们要走了是吧？没问题，我给他那啥，我把这个牌牌送给他。这是我专门给他做的。
太棒了，那就可以让他带回去了。
对啊，这是我们送给他的北京礼物。这个我就留下来，这个我就留在 AGI bar 里面。哎，那个云天，帮拍个照，我把这个牌牌送给他。是。大家。Let's just take a photo with this. 先录个电话，加个微信。是的。马上。
长得像外国人呢。
我们这边裴老师所有的东西。
美国共产党。
不一定在这儿，但是我做所有播客都在这儿。哦，看 ，Yeah，let's take a picture. 哦，杨老师，我们在这儿再拍一个。对。杨老师。
好。
我把花章。你拿那个 open BNB 的那个。你拿那个 open BNB 的。
I can't believe I actually tried that. Proud of myself.
3、2、1。3、2、1。3、2、1。好。
好，哎，等一下，你再拍个视频。我们说 Welcome to 灯下白。Can you remember that?
Welcome to
灯下白。OK， 好，来，视频。
看一下啊。
好，你说3、2、1，然后我们开始。
3、 二一，
Welcome to 灯下白。
这可能要小声点。
好，再来 again。
回头剪就好了。三二一。
Welcome to 灯下白 podcast。
OK。
OK， 好，谢谢。
有耳。Thank you.
Oh,
I love that. That's great. Oh,
对，那啥，这个要拍一张，这个要拍一张。
I still haven't gotten to try it yet, but I promise I will.
Oh, it's a pen.
Oh,
一人拿一个，刚好。
一人拿一个，好。
Oh, yeah.
一人拿，那个杨老师拿着。
然后你们把它调到那个。
对 AGI 是吗 ？A yeah OK let me just position it
yeah I OK
等一下 wait
I'm sorry
yeah here
there we go
yep
点点大差。
好。
你来找我也行，你来找我，我在这边听你。
三二一，然后把它静静。
好。
三二一。好，
哎，杨老师再拍一张这个，就这个，还有OpenBNB这个，也the last photo。Yep， 你们俩就行了，我不用。
Oh, with that?
Yeah, yeah, this he's a representative from OpenBNB。
需要把这个套那个拆出来吗
？OpenBNB is like the biggest open source community in China.
Wow.
Yes, he's the representative from OpenBNB. Yes, yes.
可以。好。
那有点时间。
三。
好，等一下，哎，想起来了，还有那个 DeepSync 那个，你先给他拍张这个，再拍个 DeepSync 的，啊，一个个来。
好，三二一。
东西没事去的。
好，来最后一个那个 DeepSync。在拍方面我们专业。
看出来了，非常的
非常专业。
三二一，好。
啊 ，Thank you，Thank you。
我都发群里了。
Oh, beautiful.
啊，还有一张，那个，啊，对，啊，要拍是吗？
好的。
好，没事，反正我们现在时间还是可以的，就拍几张照片就走了，拍长者。对，因为所有的媒体的已经在这个里面都提供好了，所以就不用担心了。
All right, I gotta go.
啊，耶！
All right, one more.
好。可以的，来，那个你们让拍一下。
好的。
那啥，马上。好。OK。好。你要拍，还要谁要拍？好，你那啥。还有没有人要拍的？有。啊，好，要拍的那啥，你都过去，一个来。好，下一个。
流水线
啊。
咱俩就没一块儿拍，有点。
好，下一个。
单拍也是。
下一个还有没有？好。
不要紧。
啊，豆汁儿。你要把那个啤酒放在前面。还有没有？没有了是吧？
加我一个。
啊，还有吗？哦，对，你过去吧。
来回那个。
He runs this AGI bar.
Oh, wow. No, then we've talked, right? Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, cool. Wait.
Sorry.
Yeah, he runs this. 好，还有没有？没了吧
OK 了。
OK。那个你也在这儿拍一个吧，因为是用 AGI bar。
我们刚不合影过吗？
那个。
哦，是吗？
真的要。
All right. She has it.
OK，会。
你拍什么？
那我和吴老师一起。
哦，对，你给我和他拍一个。我那啥。
辛苦了哈。
还有2分钟啊。
拿 AGI bar 作为背景，对你拿着这个。
还有2分钟哈，要走了哈。超时了已经。
啊，好的。
贴心，爱你们。
好，
好，走走走走，OK，哎，好，那你们先走吧，谢谢谢谢。All right，
Thank you.
Thank
Really appreciate
you.
it. It's a great time.
It is.
See you next time.
Yes, absolutely.
Bye.
Be back soon.
我也敢下一场。
啊，你敢吗？你敢吗？
可以可以。
可以。时间刚刚好。
不是思考他妈的问题，问他妈不给我留点时间。
你有问题吗？你也没准备出来问题啊。滚。
然后就先走了。
好，辛苦了哈，辛苦了，拜拜。
拜拜。
有啥需要帮忙的吗？
没事，等我就把设备拆了，搬回来。
那这个我就不帮忙，我怕把设备给弄坏了。
啊，你这是2天，不是说就昨天今天。
主要是为这个事儿来，然后公司的一个事。对，然后他得去一下清华，给一个清华的在读的一个学生给他开地报告。对，有团队。
我以为你说的，我以为是主要的事，我以为你说2天就是昨天，然后就结束了。
是今天明天。
好的。
这个人习惯需要教学的。然后我们合伙人都是北大跟那个这些中专同事，然后这创业不久，但是我把它还没开始。
哦，我们直播是没关。
直播每个但得要登他手机关。
刚才就
哦，所以咱们不要说什么不该说的那些。
对，有没有不该说的？第一部分是数字 email 然后第二部分是企业和汪老师，然后我们
对，整他微信号是视频号。
还在直播呢。
直播都结束了。你直接关吧，对你直接关吧也行，对。